Hi, this is Lee Solden. I'm going to try to help you learn some Norwegian. I'm helping you to learn a video on YouTube that I have nothing to do with. I'm helping another student learn it, and it might be helpful to you. The one I'm teaching is the 20-minute version of Norwegian listening comprehension by Norwegian Class 101. Again, it's just something on YouTube. Um, this is just a hobby for me to learn and teach languages. I'm not much more than a beginner myself in Norwegian. But hey, I, who can teach better than a beginner? Because I know what you need to know. I know what you're going to struggle with, and I think I'm good at relating what you need to know to learn to do Norwegian without wasting your time. Um, I also have a specific system which I'll put in the comments of this video. More than welcome to read that over, see how my system goes. It's an ear first. You do a lot of upfront work on hearing the Norwegian before you learn much of the words. But anyway, this video is to help you teach the words. It's meant for you to basically loop it and forget about it most of the time. You got to listen to it carefully a little bit here and there, but mostly just loop it and let the associations between the Norwegian words and the English words soak in. Here goes. I'm starting at 55-second mark, or about the 52-second mark on the video. Again, 20 minutes of Norwegian listening comprehension from Norwegian Class 101. I kvinne spør en ekspeditør noe på en bokhandel. A woman is asking a store clerk something at a bookstore. And it follows Norwegian follows the English pretty closely here. I, that's a, that's for feminine. Now, although Norwegian is going toward not having a feminine gender, they're lumping the feminine and the um, masculine together more and more, and calling that the common tense, as opposed to they also have the um, neuter tense. Okay, but the the feminine uh, is still there. So at least you have to know it to read it. If you're trying to say a woman, you don't have to say I kvinne. You can say en kvinne. Okay. Because en is what you use for common, and of course is what you use for masculine if you want to divide the two. Whereas it would be et for neuter. So you got I, en, and et. When you're talking, you can always say N for the masculine or feminine. Okay, but when you hear I, you just need to know that they still sometimes use the feminine. So I kvinne, a woman. Spur, asks. Now the verb spur is somewhat irregular. It ends with an R, and whereas it's SP, I call it O cross R, SPO cross R. The O cross sounds like a like the sound in the middle of put, or worry, the in worry. Okay, but again, it means ask, and to ask is SPO cross RE. This is a bit um, unusual for a verb in Norwegian. Usually, the infinitive is shorter than the conjugated form, but you have irregular verbs like this one, which that's not the case. Okay, so I kvinne, a woman, asks, spur. So the conjugated form is spur. And by the way, once you know how you conjugate a present tense of a verb, it's the same verb form for all people. In other words, this case she. So she asked a woman, right? he, it'd still be spur. We, it would still be spur. They, it's still spur, etc. It's always going to be spur for the present tense. So there's a different past tense, spurta in this case, but and that past tense will be again the same for, it doesn't matter if you're saying they, we, you, or whatever, I, it's going to always be the same past tense. In other words, only have one verb form for each of their tenses. This might sound good to you, right? Like learn Portuguese from me, you got to learn four. There's a fifth one, but anyway, not used much in Portugal. But anyway, in this case, Norwegian, you learn one per tense. Okay. So a woman asks an expeditor, means clerk. This is learned expediter, right? You walk into the store, someone's expediting your purchase, right? Call them clerk. Okay. Nua, something. Paw, at, can be on. Paw can be at or on. N, a, boekhandel. Okay. A little bit on pronunciation there. Um, Probably not going to get it perfect right off the bat. And I would not suggest you even try that much compared to spending your time listening to it, right? And I have these ear tuning, this thing called ear tuning exercises. The ear tuning syllables will be in the description of this video. You go to this video that I'm teaching, the 20 minutes Norwegian listening comprehension, and go to the 17-minute and 47 mark. 17-minute, 47 seconds. Go to that mark. And you keep playing those ear tuning syllables over and over again. So you keep going back to the 1747 mark. But the ear tuning syllables are in the description. What you try to do, your best, you try to, with your eyes, you don't ever talk during this, with your eyes, you try to keep your eye on the correct ear tuning syllable at all times. You can't actually do that if you're not tuned in to anything like German, Dutch, anything similar. Then you're going to have a tough time following somebody speaking in a Norwegian accent. Don't matter. The attempt to try to follow with your eyes as he's speaking, it's like 30 seconds. You gotta, every time you listen to it, listen to the whole 30 seconds, even if you get lost. Keep trying to catch up. Now, after several times, you'll get a little bit more familiar with how the ear tuning syllables go, and a little bit easier to catch up. There's also a key below the ear tuning syllables, but don't pay too much attention to the key. You can't really produce exact sounds from English letters, but I have English letters make it easier for you to read, and you get a good feel for what where you should be. Okay, when someone says spur, you're on my ear tuning syllable that says speur, spur, for instance. Okay, when you hear N, you're going to see my ear tuning syllables would be a EN, which happens to match the Norwegian in that case. But don't think that my ear tuning syllables are exact reproductions of what the Norwegian is. They're close. And what I'm telling you to do is use these ear tuning syllables as a vehicle to catch the pattern of the Norwegian. And after you keep trying to follow this, and you start about a half hour at the beginning of the day, another half hour struggling to follow those ear tuning syllables at night, go to sleep. Next day, it's still hard. Do it again. Half hour in the morning, half hour at night. Next day, it's still difficult. Third day, you wake up, try it, go, whoa, it's really easy. So you're just feeding your speech center data to get locked in on this pattern. Okay. So after a few days of doing this, you're going to hear all of a sudden the Norwegian is going to sound clear. You're going to have this ability now to, when the Norwegian is spoken, to follow the ear tuning syllables because you're hearing it right now. Okay, your speech center has calibrated. Now, it's not perfect. From there, now once you hear the Norwegian a lot better, you keep doing the ear tuning exercises. You keep putting your eye on the syllable being spoken, and you listen more intently, more carefully, automatically. You know, this is not it's not studying. This is just putting feed. You're feeding your speech center data. Okay. So you keep doing the ear tuning exercises no matter how easy they seem to you, and trust your speech center keeps picking up better and better what is being said in those ear tuning syllables. Okay. Also, say you listen to those ear tuning syllables 5 times. Next thing you do is you close your eyes and listen carefully 5 times, trying to follow with ear alone. And then again, open your eyes, try to use your eyes to follow the ear tuning syllables while you listen 5 times, then back 5 times, eyes closed, 5 times with them open, until you've done a half hour of that. During the day, between the half hours of ear tuning exercises, what do? You loop this audiobook, have it playing in the background. Let's say you're eating food, loop it. Okay, don't just ignore it. Your speech center just needs to hear it coming to your ear. Just loop it and ignore it. Does it have to be very loud? No. If you can hear it, if you put your concentration onto it fully, that's good enough. Your speech center is probably subconscious. Your subconscious goes 20 times faster than your conscious mind. If you can hear it semi okay, then your speech center is picking it up just fine. Okay. This is all data that your speech center needs to calibrate into the Norwegian language. Okay. So for a few hours a day, you might say, well, how can I listen for 3 hours a day? Well, let me reiterate that. You're not paying any attention to it. Okay. Let's say you watch 3 hours of TV. Hey, watch your 3 hours of TV. In the background, on a low volume, have this Norwegian playing on loop. It's a 25-minute video. Every 25 minutes, you hear it again. Excuse me, this one's 20 minutes long. Okay. So every 20 minutes, you hear the video again. You're enjoying your program. Your speech center is getting the Norwegian in the ear and working on getting your ear tuned in to Norwegian. Now, after the first week of doing an hour a day, you can slow that down on the ear tuning exercises down to say a half hour total per day. So 50 minutes in the morning, 50 minutes at night, or just do a half hour in the morning, whichever. After a few weeks, you go down. Let's say in 2 months from now, you keep reducing it. In 3 months from now, you go down to 40 minutes per week, and don't go below 40 minutes per week. Okay. As long as you're studying Norwegian, do some ear tuning exercises on a weekly basis. Passive listening, never stop that. That's always 3 hours a day, more if you can. I mean, come on, maybe you watch more than 3 hours of TV a day. What if you like music? You can listen to music and have this video looping at a low volume so it's not disturbing your music. Again, as long as your ear can hear it, if you were to concentrate on it, it's loud enough. Um, you studying math, have it looping. You're on the internet. Hey, have this looping low enough to it's not bothering you, right? Let's move on to the lesson. So again, this a woman is asking a store clerk something at a bookstore. I kvin spur en expediteur noe på en boekhandel. Want to point out that noe, something, not sure what you're going to hear right now when you play it, but it's actually going new, like a double O, and then new, and boekhandel, the BOK is going book. So the basic pronunciation of an O is ooh, double O. It's not going to always be a double O. If it's like before an R, it's going to sound like OR is going to sound like or. Okay. Um, okay. Um, Boekhandel. I think I put an IL for the end of that, but it's really, they're just saying the L, and what vowel you hear before it is like a slurred vowel. It's barely insignificant, slurred, indistinct is the best word, right? So it's Boekhandel. Are they saying L, ill? Not really anything. They're just Boekhandel with an L. there, okay? You see here, and the kavina, get the K right before the V. Again, there is a minor, I don't write that down, it's such a minor thing, kavina. There's really some type of vowel in between the K and the V there, but it's so slight, kavina. I could put something there, but it's not worth it. Let me see here. Trailing E's on these words go like you're about to say So kavina, okay. And you got nua. So you got two words have trailing E's, and that's pretty consistent. Next sentence. Wilken boek haar kvinna lust till I said. Okay, I could say till I said. It's probably better till I said. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. Which book has the woman desire to see? Okay, now that to see is ah se. The they consider the ah to be not have any meaning. It just tells you that the infinitive is about to come up. It's the same thing in English. We say to see, right? I want to see that movie. Well, what does to mean? Nothing. It just telling you that you're about to say the infinitive, see, the infinitive form. That's all it is, right? So we always teach people the infinitive is to see. If you think about it, see is really the verb. What's the to there for? It's telling you that we're using the infinitive form. Okay. And they do the same thing here. Instead of saying to, they say ah. It's like an AW sound. And you see that this A with the circle over the top, it's AW sound, but if you see it after, if there's R's after it, you can't even say R. You can't, maybe you can, I don't think so. You're just gonna hear like or to you. So if R is after it, it's gonna sound like or. The word or in English, or. Not gonna sound like R. In English, we don't like drawer. We don't say drawer. We say drawer. We don't put R's right at the end of an AW sound, right? And okay, enough about pronunciation there. Let's go by word for word here. Vilken starts with an H, but that's silent. Okay. Vilken is a witch. Book is book. Haar, has. Now, I'll go back to that in a second. Kavina. Okay. Earlier it was kavina. This is kavina. What's the difference? Okay. That trailing E has changed to an A here. And this is how they say the woman. They don't put the word the in front of woman. They do have a word the, but they don't use it unless there is an adjective between the and the word and the noun. Noun here is kavina. So this sentence here doesn't have an adjective. Just says the woman. Doesn't say the pretty woman. If it did say the pretty women, the pretty woman, then you would have to have the word the, which is either going to be den or de, spelt D-E-T, but a silent T. The two thes in this language are den and de. Okay. Neither one goes here because there's no adjective before the noun woman, so you don't need it. Instead, they just count on the fact that they end this with an A instead of the normal E, and that means the woman. Okay. Now, there's another way to say the woman, which is kvinen, the en on the end. Because again, this language is going to common versus using male female. Okay. So if for a masculine or slash common to make the, you put an en on the end. Okay. So if you want to say the woman, you can say kavina or say kavinen with an en on the end. Okay. Um, so which book has the woman desire, lust? You can understand that's Okay, in English, one of the meanings of that same word almost is desire. Till, that's to, se. Well, wait, we already said to. Then we got another two. No, you don't. You have the is just a marker that the next thing you're going to see is the infinitive se. Till se. Okay, go back a little bit. So wilken, boek. Um, so then we got har, has. The infinitive is ha, ha. This is much more a regular verb. This is the way things usually go in this language. Ha is the infinitive. To have is ha. How do you conjugate it? You add an R, har. And that is how you conjugate most present tenses in Norwegian. By far and away, you usually just learn to add an R and you're good. And that's for all of I, he, you, she, they. It's always just add the R. There's only one form for present tense. Okay. I'm going to point out that this is backwards from if you've learned French, Spanish, German, they all have like French. Okay. They have an R at the end in Portuguese. They have an R. Spanish, they have an R at the end of the verb for the infinitive. And as part of conjugating it, you remove the R. German, they have an en or at least an n at the end of a verb. And what do? You remove the n as part of conjugating that verb. So here, you usually don't remove something, you add an R. So it's the opposite of what you might know from learning other languages. So Vilken, which, book, har, has, kvinna, the woman, lust, desire, till, se, to see. And okay, notice that se is the infinitive. If I want to say I see, I would say jeg ser, ser, an R on the end, an R on the end of it. Okay, the infinitive is se. Okay. Um, okay, and just want to point out right now that si in this language means say. So you might get, I got, whenever I come across two words in the same word space, I like to comment on it to avoid future confusion. So again, the se, se, is see, whereas the si means say. So here, we have the C here, SE. And conjugated, it's going to go to ser. And the conjugated form of say goes to SIER, sier. Next sentence. Okay. Inskil, jeg vil gjerne se på ei bok på den hylla. Okay. Inskil means excuse me. Okay. Jeg, got JEG there. Yai. So the EG, just like an English long I. Ja, yeah, yai. And a J is pronounced like a Y. Yai. Yai vil. I will. Yarna. Yarna means gladly, kind of. Okay. Pretty much does the same function as graag, graag in Dutch or gern in German, okay? So I will gladly see, se, pa, at, on, I, book, a book, ha, on, den means that, hylla, book. Let me sorry, bookshelf, hylla, or just shelf, a book on that shelf, hula. Okay, as far as the grammar goes here, um, den is the word for that in this language. It's also one of the two words for the. Okay. Um, it can refer to uh, what's right there, den hula. Okay. Um, sometimes it acts as a pronoun referring to something that happened in the previous sentence. Okay. And in that case, it would be something that's a common gender in the previous sentence. And it can mean, again, it can mean the, but you don't put thes uh, in the sentence unless there is an adjective that comes before a noun, and then the comes before the adjective. Next, Welken boek wil du hebben? Which book will you have? Okay. Um, now, I translate this as will. Technically, it means want, right? I mean, there's not a lot of difference whether you say, I will have that book or I want that book or which book will you have? Which book do you want? But uh, you should most remember will as want in this language. Okay. You can see that they have another uh, word, skal, Skal, that also means will. And it's a little, well, I'll explain that when I get to it. Okay. But so which book do you want? Welken boek wil du ha? Okay. Next. Oh, okay. Do was you there. That is the singular form. That is both formal and informal. Okay. If you know German, you think a do is informal. Not in this language. It's both. It's just the only do singular. Okay. Um, they do have a plural you, which is dairy. Dairy. Deri. Dairy. This one's the singular. Du. Do. Okay. Den biller. Okay. So den, that about cars. Here, den being used as a pronoun referring to something from the previous sentence. About biler, cars. One car is a bil, bill. And to make the plural, you simply add er. Now, there's some different rules you got to learn about plurals. There's plural indefinite and plural definite. What's the difference? Okay, definite would be the cars. Okay, here she's not saying a book about the cars. She's saying a book about cars, so it's indefinite. Not any specifically, and no cars are specifically mentioned. Okay, book about cars. So to make the plural, you usually add er. There'll be an exception to that if you have a neuter noun that's a single syllable, then no er gets added. It's just acts as its own plural. Okay, so unless it's a neuter single syllable word, excuse me, you'll add an er to make the indefinite plural. Next, et oyerblik. Okay, one moment. So et is the word for a for neuter nouns. It's also the word one. Okay, the number one, et. Et oyerblik. That means I blink. Might have caught that. Okay, maybe didn't. Anyway, oyerblik. Okay, a moment, one moment. Et oyerblik. Denne, this one. Remember, den was that. Now we got denne. Okay, denne. That's that trailing e, so it's like an up. Denne. Okay, et oyerblik. Denne, this. It's translated as this one, and yeah, denne. You can translate that as, I think the dictionary says both this or this one. Next. Ja, they are den. Yes, that is it. Now, so den, besides being maybe meaning the some of the time and meaning that, okay, both as a demonstrative like that are, or that as something referred to earlier. Here's another thing it can be used for is the word it. Okay, both that and den can be used for it, and it's going to depend on gender and whatnot. Different rules for that, which one you use. Here we got ja, de are den. That's D-E-T. T don't get pronounced, it's just de. And then we got er, which you'd think is pronounced air, but it's not, it's r. No reason. That's just, if you look at the infinitive, again, which is irregular, is like, I think, that's quite irregular compared to a lot of verbs. Vara means to be, and in the middle of vara is the sound r. So when they conjugate it, the to be vara, they just take the middle of it, the middle sound r. Okay, so even though they spell it er, it's pronounced r, matching the infinitive vara. Okay, ja, they are den. Okay, that is it. Okay, now I'm not getting into that a little bit there. I'm not going to probably cover the rules on day or den until after this, covering this one video here. A lot of this stuff you need to absorb for now. Okay, var sagu, var sagu. Here you go. Now he literally says, "Be so good." Okay, what does that mean? He's telling her to go and be well, right? Var sagu. Um, the little A E looking thing, like look back to back, an A with an E, that's a ah sound. So var, saw, SAW, that's A with a little circle over it. Gu. D's not pronounced. Usually don't pronounce D's or T's at the end of a word. And the O is a oo, double O in English, oo. So var, saw, gu. Now, that's what it looks like. Said it really slow, it would be var, saw, gu. But here's a new thing you got to learn. Anytime you see an R and an S together, it makes an SH. You don't pronounce either the S nor the R. You pronounce the two together as an SH, even if the R is at the end of one word and the S at the beginning of the next. So, rather than being var, saw, gu, this is vash, excuse me, vashagu, right? They take the SH and they put it on the AW and end up getting Shaw, SHAW. It sounds like Shaw, Goo, GOD. So Vashagu, Vashagu is what they're going to say because it can combine the R and the S, even if they're in two different words, into an SH. And that's the end of that story. And I'm going to go to story number 2. Okay. It's about 1:55. And man o I kvin ser på en menu. Should say menu. Okay. You should avoid doing an ooh sound for that. It's like menu. Okay. But they may pronounce this like other people pronounce it in the same region and say menu. They can ooh sound. Listen for it, okay? A Y sound is something that's not really in the English language. So I'm going to ask you when you see Y's, and there's more than one way they can be pronounced. They're going to sound different in the middle of a word, especially before uh, before before a double consonant, especially it's going to be a shorter sound versus a longer sound at the end of a word, such as menu. Menu. Okay. A man and a woman look at a menu at a restaurant. N-A, man, man, O-G. The G can be pronounced. It's usually not here. I mean, og is okay. They do say og sometimes. In this video, they do. But usually it's going to be en man, a, I, kavina, kavina, ser, look, ha, on, or at, and a, menu, menu, pa, at, and a restaurant. Okay, and man, a, I, kavina, ser, pa, and menu, pa, and restaurant. Next. Vad ska mannen beställa? What shall the man order? Okay. So they're asking, what will he order? And then we got this skal here. Okay. It means will. What will the man order? Okay. This word is used when the man has a choice of what to order. When you have a clear choice of something, you say Scott, you use Scott when you have a clear choice. So we're saying, what is the man going to choose, right? If you're going to say that it's going to rain tomorrow, flat out, it's going to rain tomorrow. You got no choice about it. It's going to rain tomorrow. You don't use Scout. You don't say it shall rain tomorrow. No, you use it different. You use something different. So when you have a choice, and sometimes it's might be vague whether there's a choice or not. So you probably can't get too much trouble if you go either way. But just remember, when you see skal here, it means will, okay, or shall, assuming that there's a choice involved. What, va is what. And notice, if they put a T there, it'd be vat. And it sound a whole lot more like what, wouldn't it? If they did put a T there, though, hey, they don't pronounce their T's at the end of a word, so it'd still be va, right? So just pretend there's a T there. It means what, okay? What will skal, mannen, the man, man, M-A-N-N, the E-N added means the man, okay? Now, if it said, what shall the big man order, then you'd have to put down It'd be vad skall den stormannen bestilla? You'd have to use the word the. You have to always use the word the if you put an adjective before the noun. But here, there's no adjective. So the in the man is done by putting the en on there. Okay. Now, um, if it was a woman, and if you wanted to use the feminine gender, which you don't have to, you put an a at the end of the word, right? And if it's neuter, what goes there to say the is et, et, which is the same et, which means a for neuter. Okay. So, okay. And again, the word a for masculine is n, and n is what is put at the end of the word for masculine, or usually for masculine and feminine, because they call those common and use the en. Okay. So I could say for common, it's a is en, and the way to say the is to put an en at the end of the noun. Okay. Vad skall mannen bestilla? Okay. What will the man order? Now, bestilla, notice that over there in German, that would be the still, because you got a st and you put a little ch in there. Now, in this language, no, it's clean st, bastilla. Okay, and again, remember that trailing e like an up, bastilla. Okay, what shall the man order? Now, skal is called a modal verb, fancy word. There's a few of these. Um, will, skal, a couple others, where you simply you do the verb phrase. The second verb in the verb phrase doesn't get the aw in front of it. Okay. So, okay, what shall man order? Okay, what shall the man? Because it's man and the en means the, right? What is the man going to order anyway? So bestilla is a very regular verb. Okay, it is the infinitive there because, like in most languages, you always put the infinitive after the first verb, right? And and by the way, skal, we're not going to get into how to conjugate that. You pretty much just use it as what they call a modal verb. You're only going to use the present tense form skal. We don't have to worry about anything else with skal except skal. What shall the man bestilla? Bestilla means to order. If you want to say I order, it's bestiller, right? Add an R. Conjugate in this language, you add an R for verbs. Next. Vad skall du bestilla? Okay, what shall you order? Vad skall du bestilla? Okay, again, we've covered all of this pretty much. Go on, next sentence. Okay, the pizza looks delicious. I believe I am taking it. Okay, so they say, well, it's written here, pizza N. Okay, um, they don't even say any of the end of that. This, if you listen to it, okay, they take that Z in pizza and they go right into the ser. They say pizza. Okay, they don't say pizza N, but it's there in writing. The person saying this slurred right through it, just said pizza, right? That's all right. Maybe, and I'm not any kind of, I'm somewhat of a beginner, right? I don't know, I'm no expert in what a person actually says in Norway most of the time. But here in this video, they're saying pizza. They're taking the pizza N and the ser is making one long pizza out of it. Pizza is. So ser, sorry, pizza is delicious, but the pizza looks delicious. So after the pizza, pizza n, got ser. That's the conjugated form of c. Okay. The se would be the infinitive. Add the r, got it conjugated. Okay. And daily means delicious. And then you have this little ut at the end. Ut. So it's like in German or Dutch, that little called a participle stuck at the end of the sentence actually goes with the verb, right? So we have what we have here is ser ut looks out. What does that mean? Well, ser ut means appears. Okay. So even though you see what looks like to be the verb to see in the middle of the sentence, what you really have is the verb to appear. Okay. And they separate that ut from the ser, stick at the end of the sentence, just like German does. Dutch does the same thing, I should say, at the end of the sentence or phrase. Okay. So the pizza looks delicious. Pizza and ser deilig ut. And they got an IG, by the way, at the end of deilig. And usually don't pronounce those G's. Okay. Jeg tror jeg tar den. Okay. I tror, believe. And notice it's R on the end. So I believe, tror. I are, am taking, den, that. Now, notice that, like in other languages such as Spanish, French, German, when you say a verb, a conjugated form, us in English have three ways of translating it, right? So this ta is to take, tar is the conjugated form. So jeg tar, I take. Well, that can mean I take, I am taking, or I do take. Three ways to interpret it. In this language here, they don't they don't put a do in there, they don't put an am in there. They just say jeg tar. And you have to interpret whatever way you want to from those three ways. I take, I do take, or I am taking. So I believe I am taking it, den. Okay, next sentence. Okay. Jeg hadde pizza igår, så. Okay. Jeg hadde pizza igår, så. First time I said it slow. Second time I did the R and the S to get together between gar and saw and got gashaw. Jeg hadde pizza igashaw. Okay. The R and S become an SH. I had pizza yesterday. So dot dot dot. What do I do? What do I do? So okay, Igar is probably gonna sound like Igor, or Igor to you, rather than Igar. I should have said Igor. Theoretically, that's AW, but there's no way I can say it R together. So it's going to come out like gar, and that's wrong. So I should say gore. Okay, jeg hadde pizza Igor saw, or jeg hadde pizza Igor saw. Okay, that is had. Um, Nothing else new there. Igor yesterday. That's new, isn't it? Okay. Okay, da. And she says, I believe, ukada, the way she pronounces it. Um, Again, the O is a oo, and then for K here, they say ka, uka, da, da means that. German primary translation of da in German is then. This is a very close related language to German. Okay, va me hamburger. Va, what with? Va me, what with? What about? Right? Hamburger. There's an en on the end. So what about the hamburger? It's an en on the end there. Next. Hers bra ut. Ja tarden. Sounds good. I am taking it. Okay. So not going to get into hurist right now. That S on the means it's a passive form of the verb. I'm not going to explain that right now. Bra is good. And we got ut at the end. So this is not here. It's actually sound because you got hurist ut. Yeah. So again, if that participle at the end changes what the verb is from sounds to, from here to sound. Okay. So think about what does it sound from outside of you, right? So what does it sound like, right? Hurus ut. It sounds. So it sounds good. Bra. Yai tar den. Yai tar am taking. Den it. And that's it for this video. Further videos in this series will not go over my system so much. I'll get right into the meat of the matter. Everybody have a good day.